guys, welcome to another review. Today we're going to be reviewing the Parasite father and mother. So they are from Photon collectibles and they were limited to 100 of them. They sold out immediately thanks to the amounts of support that everybody gave to them. Now this is the little background that they come with, of course. Parasite father and mother. So that's really awesome. And of course, you can find Photon collectibles at Facebook. I'm not sure if they have Instagram or Twitter, but at the moment, only Facebook. They came in this type of box right here. So you do have to assemble the model kit yourself. They come in multiple pieces like this. So painting skills is required and assembling is required. So if you were expecting them to be fully done like this, that's not going to be the case. And those are extra parts in case some of them break, I suppose. And something that I noticed, when I opened them out of the box, they had a very strong smell. It was like a very toxic type of smell. I couldn't sleep at night, to be honest. It was like so strong. I tried washing them with soap. I tried putting multiple things, even perfume or cologne, and it didn't even work. So I'm not sure if it's the material of the 3D printer or the guy used something else on them to, take out the extra mold and all of that. But it was very strong. So I will say that if you get them, do not smell them. Don't put them in the room that you're sleeping. Put them somewhere else where it's not going to disturb you, because the sense of smell is very strong that I couldn't sleep one night, to be honest. I just couldn't. So that's my honest thoughts on that, and I will be going over both of them today with my honest opinion. I have taken about a week to properly review them, give my thoughts, paint them and all of that. So I have a good idea of what I'm going to say and my thoughts on them. So they also include this. It's like some type of trading cards where you can actually see what type of number you got. So this is the Parasite father, and you can see in the back it gives you the abilities and all of that. So I got number 31 out of 100. Like I said, he only made 100 copies, and I was lucky enough to be number 31. Of course, everyone else will be getting a different number, the number that you got for your special wave. And if you haven't gotten yours, they're actually going by waves. So they're going by wave 1 for people that pre-order sooner, and then wave 2, 3, and beyond. So if you haven't gotten yours, just wait. He will be getting in contact with you. So for articulation on the female Muto, you have multiple. So the hands can go up this much. It can go this way, side to side. So they have a hard time going straight forwards, but you can also fold like this much. This one as well. So you do have that type of movement on both of them. And of course, that's another problem. The ball joints fall off very easily, and I'll get into that later on. I'll explain and give my full thoughts. But do be careful with the ball joints on both of the male and female Muto. And for the back ones, they go forwards or backwards this much, forwards this much. You can also bend right here this much, go forwards this much. And you don't really have much articulation. They're just meant to be there to support the figure, but they don't really work that way. I'll explain why. Now, the tricky part with articulation is sometimes it has a hard time standing straight forwards. So you would think that the back legs are able to go forwards, but they really can't. At least it feels that way. If I try to make them go forwards, it feels like I'm going to break the ball joints. So they can go this much, they split this much, which is weird. I mean, you would think, right, that the articulation would allow the legs to go forwards and backwards, but you don't really get that articulation. So you get this much articulation with them. They can stretch this much, they can bend this much. So they do have good articulation, but the down part to this is why isn't there no articulation to kick backwards and forwards? Like, that is awkward if I'm being honest. So overall, the design, like I said, it's an okay design, but this is the same design everyone is using, and it does have flaws. The flaw is with the model. It's not really meant for articulation. It's not meant to look straightforward and tall. It's always going to be looking downwards in a position that's kind of awkward. So I think the problem is the mold that everyone uses for 3D printing. What I think needs to happen is someone else has to come up with a modern female Muto that is obviously looking forwards like this with better articulation and better details, because as you guys can see, you really don't have much details with this mold. Of course, this one does have more details than other female Mutos that I have seen, but the details get lost very easily. I actually had to make more details myself, which is kind of hard to see, but I made more changes around the body right here, so you can actually see that line that she has behind right here. I also made like battle damage details right there. It looks, you guys can see like the scar that she has right there, as well as the arm. Now she does have articulation in the head. She can look forwards this much, up that much. She can look down this much. She can look side to side this much, not too much, but keep in mind when you do that, the paint is going to be scratching. So you guys can see that it scratches against the plastic right here with the mold. The mouth actually opens on this one, but it's kind of hard sometimes. So you see right there, it opens pretty good. The inside of the mouth has good details. You guys can see the upper side, the bottom as well. You guys can see the teeth and all of that. But moving on to the male Mutos. Now this one was a challenge for me because the colors on the male Mutos are different from the female Mutos. Pattern is very unique on this male Mutos, so it is kind of tricky. And I will be answering questions as to why she is painted this way and why the male is painted this way. So for this one, size comparison, it is smaller, but you don't have mouth articulation like you do on the female Muto. No hand articulation for both of them. She doesn't have hand articulation right there for the smaller ones. So for the wings, you do have two pairs of wings. You get the folded wings, closed wings, and then the other ones are extended, ready to fly. So you have articulation. They can go up this much. They can go this much. So you get the idea. Have a good amount of articulation for the wings to get him in different poses. This much. So you guys get the idea of how much articulation this male Muto has. Of course, be very careful because the articulation on them is very fragile. It feels like they could break sometimes, or they have a chance of falling off. Now on the legs, they bend this much, they kick forward this much, a lot actually. Now they don't go forwards or backwards. They have the same problem like the female Muto. So both of them, they don't have much articulation on the legs, and I think that's a problem. That's something that should be improved in the future if they ever do another wave. Definitely improve. There you go. The ball joints fall off very easily, and I'll talk about that as well. So overall, you do have the articulation that you could possibly need for them. Obviously, you don't really need articulation right here. That would be ridiculous, but if it's possible, it's possible. Also, the mouth has no articulation. Not much details going around, but it would be kind of cool, right? If they could always make it upgraded version of this and add articulation on the mouth. Of course, I also had to sculpt in some details on the back of this figure. Now the male is able to hold it, but don't push it too much because it doesn't fit in his mouth. If you do, you're possibly going to break the upper side of his mouth. So that's a nice little touch So my final thoughts on them, right? So now you might be asking, why is the female Mutos painted white? She's supposed to be fully black, just like the card, or fully gray with a little bit of white. What if I was to tell you that that is actually incorrect? Most people are incorrect. When they do the female and male Mutos, they totally get them incorrect. So I have access to the 3D files of the female and male Mutos, and I can tell you that she is actually white with black. So she's covered in black like this throughout the body, just like you see, and the top portion is actually white. Now you might ask yourself, in the movie she looks totally gray or black. That is because in the movie version it is too dark for you to actually see that. If you go on YouTube and you actually find the enhanced version, you can actually tell that the female Mutos is actually white. She's covered in white from top to the bottom section right here. The rest of it is black. And for the male Muto is the same thing. A lot of people know that the male he has a very unique texture with color where it's black and white. It's really unique, I must say that. So that's my answer for everyone asking why I chose those colors, because a lot of people seem to go for a top black and the rest of it it's like a black with gray or a black with white, and that is totally incorrect. I repeat, that is totally incorrect. I wanted to go for full accuracy colors on both of them. Now for my feedback and thoughts on them. So they do come from Photon Collectibles. You can check them out on Facebook. At the moment, they are out of stock. They have no more male or female Mutos at the moment, but in the future that could change. He's planning big stuff for the future. Feedback. I will say that for the future, please use better ball joints, and whenever you're going to make the holes for the ball joints, you can see that they're not secure enough, meaning that you made this hole a little bit too big for the ball joint to actually fit in nice and safe. So that's why it keeps falling off very easily. You guys can see that it just doesn't stay there. It's insecure. So please, whenever you make a figure in the future, of course I had to pay over $100 for both of them. They are a pair, so I will say that $100 isn't cheap. Not everyone has that much money. So whenever you do send a figure to somebody, please make sure that you actually test the figure, that the ball joints are nice and safe, they don't fall off, that the figure has good articulation, good details. And for the future, I do recommend you to please maybe enhance this model with more details. Definitely add articulation on the legs for the male and female Muto, where they can actually kick forwards and backwards, because this is awkward, right? You would think that this figure is able to do that, but instead it does this. Like, I don't see much point of this figure doing this articulation position. It's not really needed. What was needed is articulation for forwards and backwards. Also for this, it seems a little bit unsecure, like it's about to break. So maybe add more articulation to make it more movable and make the size correct, because look, if you stand the female Muto fully straight, you can see that the back legs are actually floating. So that's a problem. When designing this, right, when making it into a 3D print, make sure that it's actually in scale with the monster arts or for whatever figure you're trying to do. Add better articulation. I know it's going to be more expensive and it's more time. I know it's not easy for you. You are a single person, but it's your responsibility to give a good product and a good impression to consumers, because at the end of the day, it is $100. Well, it's actually $100+ and it's not cheap. Again, not everybody has $100, and for what it is, right? For you, I cannot stress this enough. You are a single person. He is a single person, guys, so I can't stress this enough, but you did a good job. It's not bad. Give this a 7.9. You were almost there. You know, I see potential for them in the future. I see what you were trying to do with the male and female Mutos. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just being honest. There is definitely more improvement to do, more accessories. I know you added a lot of extra parts, but you were supposed to add in some ball joints. I remember you specifically said in the in your post, not really in scale with other Godzilla figures, and I'll get to that in a little bit. I do recommend you to improve on all of those things that I told you. Recommend you to wait and see if there's any improvements in the future with other figures, because that's always a possibility, right? And I will tell you this: making figures, sculpting figures, figuring out articulation is never easy. A lot of people think that's really easy, it takes a little bit of time. No, this is very stressful, it takes a lot of time, especially for a single person. So understand him. I do give you credits for everything you tried, and they are really good figures.